Hey, welcome everybody. We have a very impromptu, probably not very long hangout with Shannon Q, which is, as we know, Paulogia's alter ego through a voice modulator. But
Which one
she
was it?
just got done finishing a hangout with our friendly atheist hater Max Colby, and I actually listened to it. Yes, I listened to the whole thing, and there was a couple things I wanted to add to it. So I had asked Shannon if she wants to drop on by and kind of like give her recap of the discussion,
Mhm.
along with my 2 cents, which is worth about a penny. But okay, first of all, why don't you tell everybody what prompted this? Because I knew this was going to happen for about a week ago, and I gave you my advice about it, and of course,
Yeah, you said it was
being
going
like
to
a
end
Canadian woman,
horribly,
you
and it
didn't listen.
didn't. It didn't.
um, so what prompted this?
I had been exposed to his channel, and I heard him say what I perceived to be really sort of vitriolic things about atheists in general. Like he was making blanket statements that were negative towards anybody that identified themselves as an atheist. And I identify myself as an atheist. So I wanted to have a conversation with him to see if I could attempt to uh, ascertain what brought him to those conclusions and get a better understanding of why, and see if I could perhaps convince him that they weren't necessarily valid and that he was capable and it was possible that there are atheists in the world that don't fall under his perspective of what an atheist is, or perhaps that his perspective of what an atheist is might not be accurate.
I love, first of all, I love the way you said exposed. It sounds like something like, oh, I was exposed to radiation, I was exposed to chemicals, I was exposed to his channel. Like the way you put
Right.
that, whether it was intended or
I
not.
came across his channel.
Well, a little bit. I was exposed to his channel, and
Right.
I just have been the same ever since. And by the way, people should know off the bat, we have all been drinking. So
Fair
yeah,
statement.
I was forced into this. Wasn't something I wanted to do. To
You were forced into this?
I was literally they okay. I'm not lying. I was like, I'm just going to drink some tea and
Oh, you're
Shannon
forced into
volunteered,
drinking.
like,
Yeah.
oh
I thought you
no,
meant
we're
talking to
Canadian.
me.
We're
I was
gonna
like,
have
no.
alcohol.
I
So
did force you
I'm
to
now
drink.
drinking the corn whiskey with some water, which, by the way, they'd never heard of before putting water in whiskey. They're Canadians.
Shannon is quite an enabler on this front. So.
She
Yeah, no,
is
I
an
do like it when
enabler.
people drink. I'm Nova Scotian. Everybody's supposed to be drinking all the time.
I'm telling you, even with some water in it, this is not light stuff. This is some heavy duty whiskey here. So probably by the time we're done, we're going to be sloshed. But I will note that we have more people watching if they're the first 2 minutes than Max's entire hangout. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Throwing
apparently.
that out. Sorry, Max. All right. So in a nutshell, you saw some of the vitriol that Max has. I mean, he's actually known for being vitriolic, and
Right.
may not
And he
have
warned
been
me
aware of
ahead of
this, but Max has a very unique stance when it comes to science.
time.
He believes strongly that supernatural is not only natural, but he believes that science should always incorporate the supernatural and just get rid of methodological naturalism. That's his stance. So when he says to you, that atheists are not doing science correctly, what he's literally saying is they're not factoring in supernaturalism.
Well, that I can see that. I kind of inferred that a little bit based on the conversation we had about inanimate objects perhaps having some sort of will or sentience, which I thought was an interesting statement to
It's
make.
animism.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like that kind of contradicts most forms of like deistic theology, because if inanimate objects could have some sort of inherent sentience, then what's necessarily special about us?
It does distract from the Christian narrative, right? They were kind of a
Right.
special creation, right?
Right. But
They're not, but whatever.
I didn't want to focus on that too much because that wasn't the intended point of that conversation. Perhaps that's something he and I can explore later, but that wasn't the reason that I had pursued a conversation with him. And I didn't want to, I found that there was, especially for the first, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, we weren't really on the topic that I had come there.
I noticed that.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of bring it back to that and explore that. And I felt like that's when we had the best conversation.
Yeah, the
was-
original topic was supposed to be along the lines of why do you hate atheists kind of thing. You wanted to suss out
Right.
reasons behind it, and I don't think you ever really got to that. But
No, it went off track a little bit, and I tried to draw it back and ask a little bit about his reasoning, but this was my first opportunity to have a discussion with him, and I just mostly wanted to create a rapport. I wanted to build a relationship where he was comfortable having this sort of conversation, because I think that he has been exposed in the past to people that identify as atheists that have immediately put him on the defensive. And when he's put on the defensive, he goes into sort of a blunt attack mode, and that wasn't conducive to a productive conversation.
yeah, I mean, I was even saying that towards the end he's probably going to go into attack mode, or at least somewhat go south. And he wasn't as bad as I thought. However, he did get a dig at the end.
Yeah. He did get a couple.
That little dig in, you atheist, heathen, and let me tell you, he's not just kidding around with that. He thinks you're an atheist, heathen. He thinks you are a
No,
soulless,
he does.
mindless automaton that deserving of nothing but condemnation and hell. You
Yeah.
recognize this, right?
I do. Yeah, that's fine.
He
Sure.
hates you.
I don't know that he does hate me, though. I think that me and Max can have another conversation.
Oh, you're so lovely and naive on this. He hates you.
I don't 100% appreciate you referring to me as naive, but I think that based on some of the conversational cues, like he laughed in points where if he had felt like he was under attack or wasn't comfortable, I don't think that he would have laughed. I think that he would have been more on the defensive, and I think that I maybe built a little bit of a rapport with him that might open up further dialogue.
Well,
Whereas if I had just been reactionary, then that would have closed those doors. Does that make sense?
You may very well be right. I've seen that path go completely south many times, but maybe you're the exception. Yeah, sure. You're diplomatic. I was like, you know what? You need to go be a foreign diplomat to North Korea. You have this whole freaking thing resolved by now, right? There'd be all disarmament and no nukes, and we'd all be singing kumbaya around the campfire. But I mean, because Dean Esme is not an easy person
he
to
would only judge me based on our future interactions with each other and not on the groups that we identify ourselves with, and that we would give each other that mutual respect. And I think that that's a big step.
Do you think he's doing that, or do you think he's just pretending?
I would have to have more interactions with him, so I can't. That would just be me making a prediction, and I'm not sure that that's fair. I would just be making a prediction on what he's going to do. So until he actually interacts with me in the future and proves to me that he's judging me based on those interactions, it would just be a prediction.
Very diplomatic response.
Well, he said he's going to watch it.
What call?
Well, is this drip on by direction?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Anyway, I was just wondering what's going to happen when Max sees that she's a cartoon in my videos. That may just ruin everything.
Wait, doesn't he know that he is?
She was, yes, because I directed him to that specific video. He knows that I was a contributor.
Said you have been on his channel.
Mm-hmm.
But people have been calling us bobbleheads of late.
Okay.
That's true. That's fair.
Well, what do you think about some of the videos he wanted you to watch? And I haven't watched one of them. I'm going to. I have it queued. I have a whole list of bucket lists I got to get through. But he told you to go to an inspiring philosophy video about atheism being a delusion.
Yeah, the atheism. That was a TED Talk, actually. I think, wasn't it? That he wanted the atheism delusion, or
no? I think it was an inspiring philosophy
was
video.
it? Okay, because he threw a lot of links at me. So the only ones that I managed to get written down were Rupert Sheldrake and Born Believers by Justin Barrett, which I'm actually interested in. That's the one where I asked him if they had accounted for social mores in their research structure. I'm not sure if you caught that.
I did. And the first one was the dog telepathy.
Yeah, I didn't write that one down. I didn't write that one down.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry, live chat, but I'm telling you right now, I guess dogs have telepathy, and that is conclusively proven, according to.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but the Born Believers one I'm interested in reading because it has to do with children identifying as spiritual, and I've heard Max espouse that those who raise their children as atheists or with an air quotes atheist worldview, they could be accused of child abuse, and he points to this. He points to this research that as evidence that children have innate and inherent spirituality, and trying to stifle that is a form of abuse. However, until I read the research, and full disclaimer, I have not read the research, so I'm not sure what the methodology is like, and I'm not sure what the controls were like. But my question to him was, did it control for social mores? Because, of course, having a sense of spirituality is going to be something that is common in children, or is visibly inherent in children, or manifests as inherent in children within a society where spirituality is a cultural norm. Because if you exist in a society where a Christian or a Muslim or a Jewish, or insert religion here, is what most of your peers identify as, having a sense of spirituality would be perceived just as normal as language would be.
So when you're saying the word mores, you mean it to be basically a certain society might be more willing to have a certain thing that another culture might find more taboo or morally
it's a sociological term. A more is something that within a society is, I'm not sure how best to describe it.
More culturally accepted?
Culturally normal.
Normative, okay.
Right, exactly. So something that is accepted by a larger group as being normal.
Well, sure. We got, topless beaches in France, and we don't have as many of those in the United States.
Because it's a little more normalized over there.
Yeah, right, sure. So in their society, it would be perceived as normal. Like, they wouldn't view a woman walking around, for that analogy, they wouldn't view a woman walking around topless on a beach as unacceptable, because they're used to seeing women walking around topless on a beach.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So spirituality and religion are even more unilaterally culturally acceptable. So children would be exposed to that on a subconscious and conscious level frequently from the moment that they're born until they're able to manifest language, and
that becomes the norm for them.
Right, exactly. So of course they would be able to display inherent and innate tendencies towards spirituality, because they've been socialized and culturalized that's a normal behavior. So right. I wanted to know if part of that study controlled for that, because if it controls for that, and I don't know how it could, because the only way that it could control for that variable is to isolate children from society. And I hope they didn't.
Yeah, that would be so you want to control the variable by secluding children,
right? So I don't know. It's almost like conducting a study that says, yeah, children acquiring language is normal between the ages of 2 and 4. Yeah.
Except by taking that, you can develop language without it.
It doesn't mean language is natural or innate. It's right. Learned.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think religion is a learned behavior or a learned thing. But okay, I think when it comes to religion, and I really hate the argument when people say things like, "Oh, religion is child abuse" or "atheism is child abuse." Bullshit. I disagree
with both of those points.
Yeah, but I will say there is a point where any kind of ideological position can become abusive. When I watch things like the Jesus freaks, when I watch children that are just subjected to the most horrific things in the name of religion, whether it be Muslim, whether it be Christianity, whatever it is, that can be abusive. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, of course. Well, you could say that about a lot of things, though. Whenever you take your perspective to an extreme and exclude other perspectives and don't allow them in, that can be abusive. And it can cause isolation. It can be mentally, emotionally, and potentially physically abusive, depending on what the ideology is.
But in and of itself, religion or atheism, I can't see if that being a form of child abuse. And I see people using those types of arguments, though, from both sides, literally.
Right.
And I find that to be non-productive.
See, I don't stand in defense of holding a religious view. So I don't think that I'm an atheist. I don't hold a religious view. I live in a society where most people do hold a religious view. So let's just look at it from a statistical standpoint. Most people in my society hold a religious view. Everything falls on a bell curve, right? If you look at population distribution, everything falls, in most instances, everything falls on a bell curve. So there are going to be people in any group who fall or skew to one side. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're falling or skewing to one side because of X. It could be because of X and Y and Z. So if you generalize, I think you can point to instances where it in fact is the case that because of an ideological standpoint, somebody psychologically came to a conclusion that was invalid, that caused them to behave inappropriately and do damage. You can, but that doesn't mean that you can unilaterally apply that to everybody who identifies themselves with that group. And that's what's dangerous in discussions, because you close the people that are the majority down, the people that are falling in the middle of that distribution, the people that are fantastic parents but are Christian, the people that are fantastic parents but are atheists. If you point to the extreme circumstances and hold those up as being representative of that entire group, you put that entire group on the defensive, and that closes down the opportunity for dialogue. And dialogue is important.
Do you think it may actually even go so far to say that it leads to a post hoc ergo propter hoc thing, where he's trying to say that this befalls this, and that is because of atheism?
I don't know. I don't understand the philosophical whatever the hell that you said at the beginning of that.
Two events. One follows the other. It must have been caused by some quality, some event. Something happened to cause one to do the other, even though there might have been no correlation between the two. He's trying to relate atheism to a lot of different things.
Okay,
very
so
broad on his definition.
Correlation is never causation,
right?
From a statistical standpoint.
And he thinks that if you're an atheist, you basically certain things have to follow from that. For example, if something goes wrong, oh, it's because of atheist. I mean, he literally will say if something happens, it's because of the atheist. He has done this numerous times. He also thinks that atheism has this worldview position, which to me, don't understand, because no matter how you define atheism, it's still dealing with only one position, period. There's no worldview of atheism. There could be naturalistic worldviews, but that's not the same thing as a theological position. He doesn't seem to understand that. And he just across the board will make atheism the cause of everything. Right.
Whatever. Okay. So I disagree with that, obviously. However, here's where his arguments generate power, and they're not from the logical validity of his arguments. The reason that his arguments have power with the people that are listening to him is not because that logically stands. That is because the people that are listening to those arguments have fallen victim to the opposite side of that coin, right? So they'll look at atheists who have the same sort of vitriolic attitude towards Christianity in general, and if they identify as Christians, they feel attacked, and thus they're looking for a counterpoint. Does that make sense?
It does, but I still don't know. You never got to the heart of where his vitriol comes from.
I didn't have the opportunity because he kept telling me that we had to leave.
I was short angle. I don't know what the whole point was, where he didn't get to anything in substance.
I know. I felt like I just really started to ask him some questions that he maybe wasn't. He went off the rails on a couple of questions that I asked him. I felt like he wanted to show his references.
Yeah, and I understand some softball stuff. Okay, softball, but then it has to get just get to the meat of potatoes. That wasn't until a half hour into it, and by then he almost was don't they hang out. It wasn't your fault, but it just never got to where the conversation I wanted it to go, because I wouldn't mind understanding where this vitriol comes from. And I think you made a brilliant comment in relationship to Paul's channel. And again, you don't speak for Paul's channel, and Paul's there if he wants to speak for it. But the way I interpret it from Paul is what you said, is that Paul would be happy if people just even got to theistic evolution from a younger creationist perspective, and they even got to theistic evolution. I think at that point his job might be done at that point. Am I wrong to assume that? Would Paulogia be okay with that and let somebody else go from the theistic evolution position to maybe an atheist position if that's the agenda. But does Paul feel that if his channel puts out the information he does, which one of my favorite channels, if somebody watches that channel, it is. Oh, Paulogia is one of my favorite. I've said that a million times. I'm not just blowing smoke. That's one of the reasons I stopped doing Young Earth Creationist hanging out, because he did it so much better than I do. But it's true. But do you think that he would be satisfied if somebody just watched his videos and said, you know what, I can no longer accept Young Earth Creationism. I can no longer accept the claims these people are making. And by the way, Max is not a Young Earth Creationist, but he still has a lot of the same mental hangups. But do you think Paul would be okay with that? At that point, they said, you know what, I am going to trust the science. I want to go full bore into science, but I'm going to still believe in God. Is he okay with that?
Well, as Paul.
She's your public spokesperson here, buddy. No, I even said Paul's there, so go ahead.
She keeps pointing to me to answer this. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people know that oh, you can't hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know. Outside can't imagine.
As you know, as a lot of people know, I created my channel to present to my children what I would love to be able to speak to them about openly, which they're not willing to. And absolutely, if because I'm addressing the science claims, if they just rejected Young Earth Creationism, yeah, I would agree with you. That's the point of my channel. Then I'm done. Like if they all become theistic evolutionists, great. I'm doing a victory lap, and I'm retiring.
Yeah, and I think that's admirable. I really do. And by the way, seeing your face or your voice come out of Shannon's face is creepy, but I'll have to accept that. No, and I find that this, and I just one thing that I'm going to be talking to Holy Kool-Aid on Friday. Holy Kool-Aid has been gracious enough to, out of the blue, just invite me into his channel to have a conversation. And I really like Holy Kool-Aid stuff too. And one of the things I think they're going to be talked about is that I think that everybody has a role to play. And I think that when you have a niche to do a small part to get somebody to critically think, that's what you focus on. And if your niche is to just explain to people effectively, properly, and with actual evidence why stuff like Young Earth Creationism is so abysmally wrong, then that's what you focus on. And if somebody else wants to focus on, okay, I want to get people out of theism, okay, that's their shtick. Go ahead. But you focus on what you're able to do the best in order to help people think critically.
Right. And that's what Max was attacking me on at the start, was for not addressing every single possible thing a Christian might say. And, you know, obviously the wording of my channel, I address the claims of Christians. I don't say I address all the claims of Christians. I put Christians up on the screen and talk about their claims. It happens to be Ken and Eric. I mean, he was no true Scotsmaning all over the place, obviously, and that's Max's deal. He has a very narrow.
I called him out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
He has a very narrow definition of what a Christian is as well. So, as it seems like every Christian is, it seems like, you know, you listen to G-Man, you listen to anyone. It's like they think there's 50 Christians in the world, any given one of them. So,
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the things that kind of got my ire was when I was listening to this was he's trying to run this fallacy that, oh, look, throughout history, look at all these things that Christians have done. Oh, look at George Lemaitre. He discovered the universe from the Big Bang, and that it was expanding and all this other stuff. And here's there's two problems.
I feel like I called him out on that too a little bit.
You did, but there's two or three major problems I have with that. One, obviously back then, religion was the main thing in university. If you want to get a science education, you actually had to go to some kind of religious indoctrination as well with it. Two, you don't know how any of these people would think if they were alive today, right? And three, he's neglecting all the harm that some Christians have done. So you're just saying, oh, look, Christianity has been great. Without Christianity, we're going to have modern science. But somebody could argue, well, without Christianity, we probably would be maybe 10,000 times more advanced than we are now. Who knows?
And also and my point. So what I said while I was speaking to him was, okay, well, you may as well say to me, these men all wore hats, because I don't understand the causal link. Are you suggesting that the only reason that they came to this was because of Christianity? And if all other variables were the same and you excluded Christianity from their lives, they wouldn't have been able to come to the same conclusions? And I feel like he didn't necessarily answer that question, because you can say all of these men were men. You can, thus men. are the reason. You can say all of these men wore shirts, and thus, because they wore shirts helped them come to these conclusions. Those things might be true, but that doesn't, there's no connection in my mind between the two. There's not, because of this, they came to that conclusion. And I don't feel like he illustrated accurately why I should draw that link.
He didn't answer it at all.
No,
fact,
he skirted
you had
around it
asked
and showed me a couple more pictures.
Yeah, no, you had asked it very succinctly, and the way I'm going to paraphrase it, but you basically said, where in Genesis or in the Bible did these scientists get an understanding from it enough to formulate something like the Big Bang cosmology? Because I've asked this question numerous times myself, and I've never seen any scientist, even Newton. Newton was a huge theist, okay, but he didn't have force equals mass times acceleration plus God. And I've said it numerous times, but it is true. He didn't factor in a deity for his physics, because nowhere in physics is there a little variable that says God there.
Yeah. And he also made another admission that undermined his argument too. And he said, well, and then also people of the Jewish faith have made contributions, and people of the Arabic faith, of the Muslim faith,
we have
made
mathematics
contributions
for the Arabs, so would we?
Yeah, no.
No. Zero.
Yes.
Yeah, we would have zero for sure.
Right. So he made an admission that it's not unique to the Christian faith. And the fact is, and I pointed this out also, is everybody, for the most part, the great majority of people belong to some sort of theological group. How is there a causal link? Like, does belonging to the Muslim faith, by your logic, based on what you're presenting, mean that you're more inclined through your theological perspective to be good at math then?
I don't know.
Because you're a Christian, you're more inclined to believing in the Big Bang Theory because it was posed by a Christian initially, based on Einstein's contributions, and he was Jewish. So like that, I didn't understand the causal link, but it seemed like he was trying to say, see, all of these Christians have made amazing contributions to science. I don't contest the accuracy of that statement, but I don't understand why it matters.
No, I don't contest that either, but I do contest that he had made a statement that he thinks that most scientists alive today are Christians. I don't know that to be true. Yeah, I would have to.
He said most Nobel laureates, right? Nobel laureates.
Yeah. Was it Nobel laureates? Yeah. I don't know if that's true or not. I would.
But if you notice the card at the start, I mean, his channel only really deals with the supernatural. Like if he can get a win for Jews and a win for Arabs, that actually just plays into his narrative that it's acceptance of the supernatural that leads you to the right conclusions more often than
so even
not.
if you go through a wrong religion to get there, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what. Well, it's not okay. But he thinks you're closer to accept. He believes you're closer to the truth if you are an Arab than if you are an atheist, because you accept the supernatural as part of your methodology.
That is good insight. That's a valid. I didn't think of it from that way because I was looking at it from him speaking to me from a Christian perspective. So yeah, that's a valid point because he sees supernatural claims as being higher order, like logical knowledge claims, than an atheistic perspective.
Right, and
where you can't even, in his view, have a claim to knowledge.
I don't think
his vitriol is actually against naturalism more than it is against atheism.
So it's not. So that's
it is because
going into the next conversation I have with him.
Science, but he doesn't understand the problems of allowing supernatural into science. Matter of fact, the reason we have science today, the reason we have such progression, is because of scientific methodology, which is based upon methodological naturalism. I am firmly convinced that is the reason why we have the advancements we have. And he wants to take it back centuries ago. He wants to actually literally put us back in the dark ages.
Yeah, I'm interested in reading some of the links that he sent me because I am a huge proponent of research methodology and how research is conducted and what is controlled for and what statistical analysis is used in order to measure and quantify. Like, I am a massive proponent for really, when you look at research, don't just look at the conclusion of the research, look at how the research was conducted.
Yeah, I
Look
saw you
who
tear
was-
apart Tompkins' work because he didn't have a methods section.
To be fair, that wasn't hard.
I was trying to give you some props, but you're right. It probably wasn't.
It was,
I don't think anybody
that
really
wasn't
looked at
the
Tompkins'
most
work and go, "This is
difficult
Yeah.
paper I've ever had. It was one of the most difficult papers I've ever had to deal with mentally, but his materials and methods section was a grand total of, I think it was like 350 words total, or
Well, and 100 of those were on his computer.
yeah,
specs.
were just the specifications of the computer that he ran the analysis.
that's oh my god.
That hurt my feelings actually a little bit.
Actually, how many have you counted how many times these people are self-referential to themselves?
Oh my goodness. Well, see, this was the first time that I've really I've read and looked into it a bit, but this is the first time I took a real microscopic
Oh, you weren't prepared for the level of
oh my gosh,
yeah, okay.
the circular reasoning was strong.
It's ridiculous. I know.
This is right because I said it's right, because I previously did research that said it was right, and then I stood on top of the research that I did and said it was right.
That's exactly what they've done. You're not even being hyperbolic. That's the sad part.
No, that's
It's
what's really
exactly
sad.
what I've seen. I've had Humphreys just do that to me just recently. He sent me when I was talking to him, he said, "Well, have you looked, at this evidence for accelerated decay?" And I'm like, "No, I'd love to." It's basically referencing what he's already said. All it says is accelerated decay must exist because reasons. And I'm like, can you give me what those reasons are, please? That's what I'm kind of asking. You're just saying it has to exist in order to have a young Earth. Okay. That's an argument that if you have a young Earth, it has to be accelerated decay. I don't know if that's even, there might be other reasons, but you can posit, okay, for a young Earth, one of the things that might explain it is accelerated decay. Fair enough. Now show me the evidence that accelerated decay works, that exists. Oh, well, it's only because it must exist because the Earth is young. That's their circular reasoning. Not even exaggerating.
Humphreys does not hold to methodological naturalism. He feels willing to, in his papers, just say God did this. Yada yada. I remember over the paper that he did about magnetic fields of the various planets, and I remember Mercury specifically. In order for his model to work, Mercury had to be covered with water. And then he just said, God took the water away when it was done. And that's how all he addressed was.
You can't prove that wrong.
God took the water away because it's not there anymore.
God put water there. It was like, I need this water so that the thing I'm about to do is going to work. Yeah.
the problem
and then he was like, all right, I accomplished that.
Once you posit all these weird things, it gets you nowhere. You could literally posit anything at that point.
Yeah, I hate that shit. Here's my, this is true because it needs to be true in order for my conclusion to be valid. Bingo. I'm going to use my conclusion as evidence that it's valid. If it works this way, then my conclusion is valid. Therefore, clearly it works this way because I've already determined that my conclusion is valid. And
I just watched that happen the other day. Did you guys happen to watch Jonathan McGlatchy on Facebook have a feed with Paul, and I can't remember his last name. He's a geologist, and General Han Solo actually got to pop in, and he actually uploaded to his channel. But that's exactly what they were doing. He was literally saying, "Okay, I am a young Earth creationist. I admit that using isochron dating methods, the Earth appears to be old. I admit, looking at the geological structures, it appears to be old. I admit that all the evidence appears to be old. However, I know that the Earth is young. Therefore, let me give you all these things that must be in order for the Earth to be wrong, or to be young, even though he cannot give a single bit of evidence why those things exist." But that's his reasoning.
Yeah, and it's the same with Todd Wood, the famous baraminologist, who's like, yes, all evolution evidence seems right, but it contradicts the Bible, so therefore it had to be hyper-evolution. Like, it's just...
That's exactly what he was saying. He's like, look, I presuppose the Bible is true. That's my stick of truth. And anything that goes against that must be wrong. Therefore, even if all the evidence is the Earth is old, there has to be reasons why that is wrong.
Yeah.
It's scary, actually.
Oh, we're derailed from Max now.
Yeah, that's okay. It's an interesting conversation. Interesting conversations are always worthwhile.
Yeah, Paul, have you been in one of my hangouts before?
Yeah. if you start talking about the definition of atheism, I'm gone.
I swear, no.
God, that's never
Paul
gonna die,
just
is
threw
it?
his laptop against the wall. If you say agnostic, Paul just throw his laptop against the wall and be like, I can't.
It's never gonna die, is it?
This again.
So many different topics out there. We end up always coming back to that for some strange reason. So where do you want to go with this, Shannon? Because I don't care how long we do this. I'm drinking and enjoying it, and we actually have people watching for some strange reason.
Because I'm delightful.
Yeah, let's go with that. So why is this that I have half the viewers that I had in the last hangout? Then I don't know.
Because it's late. That's why.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is time is a big thing.
Well, I want to talk to him again. I want to talk to Max more, and I think he'll talk to me again. And I think he will. Well, he asked me if I wanted to be back next week, but I can't be back next week. So, but I do want to talk to him again, maybe in 2 weeks. Maybe.
How would it go if you talked to Paul? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't know. How
if
do you
Max
think?
Talked to me?
If Max talked to you.
I mean,
he mentioned Mennonites early on, actually, in the conversation. He was talking specifically about Mennonites and how they're peaceful and he liked them. And I was like,
talk about Mennonite food.
Paul's a Mennonite.
I mean, obviously, it would have to get, you avoided theology, but it would have to get theological for me because
it's not my wheelhouse, though. That is your wheelhouse.
I know, but that would have to be more confrontational.
Why would it have to be confrontational?
Well, because I don't. Well, my goal is not. If I wanted to do street epistemology on him, sure, I could have him explain.
He doesn't like street epistemology.
I know, but I mean,
yeah, I see what you're saying, and Paul. It's kind of hard to have a conversation with him.
It can be a debate and still not be. You can have a debate without being confrontational. I don't understand why everybody feels like a debate needs to be confrontation. It can be an exchange of ideas.
Debate is confrontational. That's what it is. Confrontational. That's what it is. Two people with opposite opinions. But it doesn't have to be aggressively confrontational.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. That's fair. That's valid. I accept that. An exchange of ideas can be considered a confrontation without being what in my mind is a confrontation is an argument.
See, we just had a confrontation and you admitted I was right. That's how it's supposed to end.
Okay. All right.
She's never come back on this channel.
It's been fun. Like, just kidding.
Yeah, but talking to me, like I would have to get into. Obviously, he's a theistic evolutionist, so great. We would put aside all science, and then he and I would have to talk about why, like from my point of view, why the Bible is very much a man-made book. Right. We would have to talk about why, if there is no actual Adam, that there is no Jesus needed. Like it would be a very different conversation.
Which is legit questions. I mean, I still to this day think that's a very legit question, and it's hard for a lot of theists to kind of go down that path. It really is.
So it's the same kind of questions. It's the same kind of conversations that I have every day with General Han Solo, except that Max hates me at the start, whereas Han Solo is trying to convert me.
But you're so charming.
But see, here's the thing.
I feel like you could overcome that. Like you can overcome.
Oh, I could if that was my.
By just if you stop and listen to his opinions and count and his points, and counter them by. In a respectful manner by saying, okay, well, I hear you. However, I've read and XYZ based on my understanding, and I am biblically literate. I'm not biblically literate, which is why I said right from the onset, like, I am outgunned. If you want to have a theological debate, pick a different pony. I'm not your girl. Right. But you could do that, and maybe there's some benefit from it.
Sure. I would also he'd have to get over this whole, no such thing as a former Christian.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd have to get over it.
How does that work?
If you can if you're just respectful in your conversation.
No, that's my least favorite thing, and I get it. That's the most often commented thing about my channel is, well, there's no such thing as a former Christian because the Bible says there is no such thing as a former. That once you're saved, you're always saved. So the thing was, well, you were never saved. But whatever, like I throw back, by the fruits you'll recognize them, and the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, patience, self-control. And by any metric, if by the fruits you would know them, I was in youth ministry, I was well lauded, I was, I was on the stage platform in church all the time. I mean, there's just no way. That by those efforts that I wouldn't have been considered by this people to be a Christian. I mean, So I don't know. It just
So,
drives me
let me
crazy.
get this straight here, and I've heard this before. So basically, if you were a professed Christian for God knows how many years, and all of a sudden you change your mind, you're like, you know what, I don't believe that any longer, and you become an atheist. His argument is that you were never never Christian to begin with.
Correct.
Okay, so if you died a half hour before you changed your mind, you'd be saved. But a half hour afterwards, you wouldn't be. But wait a minute, that wouldn't make any sense because you were never a Christian to begin with. So the entire time you thought you were a Christian, if you would have died, you would have not been saved.
That is their argument, yes, that I was never saved, and God would have known that I would have eventually fallen away, so it wasn't real.
But in your mind, you fully believed. And so what else could you have done to be a Christian according to their version of Christianity? What could you have done differently?
Nothing, because God knew. Yeah, no, there's nothing I could have done. Like, and this gets into, the Matt Slick. Is there an elect or is there not an elect?
Oh my God! Say Matt Slick one more time. I swear to God. Oh my God.
So which by the way makes them. I don't think it solves the problem. I think it makes the matters worse. Because
an elect.
Yeah, because if you say you're elect, one, I really like to know how the hell they know that, and two, if you're elect and then you all of a sudden, like I said, you stop believing, according to them, you were never elect to begin with, right? That's the same thing, right? You were never elect to begin with if you renounce God. But
right,
how does that work?
Well, it's exactly what I described. It's just another label that they put on the people that God knows will die as a real believer,
regardless of whether you believe or not. Or they'll say that I've actually heard them say this. If you stop believing but you were elect, you're going to be saved anyways. So what's the point of actually doing anything regardless? If you're going to be saved regardless, it makes no difference what you believe throughout life then.
Right, as of verse in Corinthians, it is possible for those who have once been enlightened to fall away, which I like to throw back.
That means people from the beginning were going to be known to believe, but then fall away.
Right, okay. And or if you say, well, I was a Christian, whatever they say, I never was. So, but that's just an argument that I would have to get over with Max, and then I would also have to prove to him that I was biblically literate.
You could do that easily though, because you are biblically literate.
Right, but we'd have to build that foundation. If you're asking how that conversation would go, I would have to start build up some rapport with him that I at least, I memorized the New Testament, so I can...
You don't have to do that on the live stream though. Like I had many small interactions with him, and it could have been longer had I pursued them prior. So that's the type of dialogue that you could have with him before engaging in.
He would be very hostile to Paul. I can tell you right now, he would be very, very hostile.
So he professed that he was going to be hostile to me, and I don't feel like he was. I feel like he thought he was going to have to be because he thought that I was a certain type of person based on how I self-identified. And I think you can overcome that by not feeding into the preconception that he holds, just by knowing what his preconception is and then countering it by not being that.
Yeah, no, I think you did a good job in that and deflecting that. I don't know if Paul has that skill set. I don't know. That takes a lot out of you. I know when you got done with that interaction, you were shaking. You're like, I need a smoke. Just let me go outside. Just don't talk to me, Paul.
I need to go have a minute.
I need a minute, man. I need a minute.
That's fair. I did need to go have a minute to collect my thoughts, but I wasn't wrecked by it. I just needed to go just decompress for a moment. Right. And I think that's a fair thing to have to do sometimes when you're having a difficult conversation with somebody, is just to go and decompress and decompress.
I don't remember ever having a conversation with him, to be honest.
Really?
I honestly, I'm trying to think. Have I ever spoken to Max directly? I don't think so. If I did, I don't remember. And maybe somebody might find a video. And I've been on, 1,000 videos of
Twitter wars with him.
Oh, I've been on, Twitter. Yeah, no. But I don't know if I've communicated through Twitter, sure, but I've never been in a hangout with him directly and talked to him, I don't think.
Well, as you mentioned this afternoon, I'm not exceptionally good at hiding contempt.
No.
By exceptionally good, he means incapable, just to be clear.
Not in his wheelhouse.
Was not fucking possible. Sorry, I said a swear. Sorry.
Yeah, we would be demonetized eventually. Anyways, No, but you know what? He doesn't have to be. There's certain people, again, everybody has their little niche, and I don't expect Paul to be the diplomat. As a matter of fact, I think that would probably hurt his overall mission statement. And I'm the same way. I have a mission statement too, basically. I want to see the same things Paul wants to see. I want to see people get out of creationism, and I want to see people actually have correct science. How we go about it is a little bit differently. Like, I don't take the Holy Kool-Aid approach. But I respect him, right? I think Holy Kool-Aid does a masterful job of what he does, but it's not the approach I take.
Right. And I feel like you and I probably have the same goals too. And Paul and I think, have the same goals, but like, my approach to people is different. I approach people on an individual basis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like the individual basis. Matter of fact, I have had more one-on-one conversations with people this year than before. And I like that, to be honest with you. But you're never going to see Max come in to have a one-on-one. Just, it doesn't do it.
Really? Well, he did a one-on-one with me, and I feel like the only way to with you, he might if you asked.
I'm the worst of the worst. I'm like,
you're the worst.
I don't know how I earned that distinction. I just
You're fucking agnostic.
Is that what it is? Is that what makes me?
Damn it.
Because I never had a conversation with this guy on air that I'm aware of, and yet for some reason he has actually said in a comment, Steve's the worst out of all of them.
I saw that. That's how I interacted with him. Was on your Twitter stream.
Wow, I flattered, but really, Paul's way worse than me. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Really though, like, the only way to counteract somebody who makes a blanket statement about a group of people is to be a member of that group of people and to form an individual relationship with that person so that they can see that there's exceptions to the rule, and that chinks away, right? That chinks away at the armor. So that's the best way. If everybody adopted that approach, I think if everybody adopted the approach of like looking at, like, if you look at somebody who identifies as hating you and attempt to build a relationship with that person, it may not be fruitful and it might not work. But at least if you make the attempt, that'll create that dissonance. Like, I dislike this person solely because they're a member of a group. This person has approached me with an attempt at understanding and dialogue and to build a relationship that it forces you at a visceral level to reevaluate your opinion of that group if that person is clear that they self-identify as being a part of that group. And the more people that do that, the more that you can no longer hold that belief logically. You can't justify it to yourself. But if you espouse to hating a group of people and those people meet you with hate because they perceive that you hate them without an attempt to understand why, and I know that's hard, I know it's hard, then it's always going to perpetuate. The cycle continues.
I think you're absolutely right, but the rebuttal to that is I think other people have tried this method with him before, and so far all has failed. So that's the kind of takeaway. I mean, do you see
my conversation with him as a failure?
No. I think your conversation was a success, but that's only the first of probably more. And Max has a tendency at some point he just goes completely nuts and just goes completely south, no matter how nice somebody is to him. I've seen him happen. I've seen it.
It didn't happen though. He didn't go.
Well, that was only your first interaction with him, though. Give it time.
I choose to give him more credit, so that maybe if I in this conversation with you say, yeah, sure, yeah, obviously, the next time I talk to him, he's probably going to go crazy.
No, you shouldn't.
Then I'm giving him ammunition.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't do that. I want you to have a positive outlook. I want you to have hope. But for the rest of us, that hope is long since gone for a long time.
We went into this first conversation, and remember, many people told me it's going to end poorly. He's going to attack you.
Well, he did at the end. I was right on that. He had that.
Well, he got his dig in. He called me a godless heathen, but then we both kind of had a laugh together about it.
Yeah, well, he ended it right before he laughed, so it sounded like he was.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He laughed.
You godless heathen.
He laughed. Okay, that's fair. I didn't realize that because I wasn't watching the live stream. I was just in the hangout. So yeah, no, he laughed. For the record,
No, I'm.
And then he said thank you and that he enjoyed the conversation. So was that not on air?
No.
Oh, that's
Right after
fascinating.
it was Godless
I did not
Heathen
know that.
end.
No.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, go watch
I
it.
didn't know that.
I don't want to
Yeah.
put
That's new information. So okay.
I'm sorry, guys. If you want to go watch this, go watch it. I don't feel like I really want to put the link in the video description. I have Paulogia's link to his channel, and if Shannon had one, I'd put it in too. But
I don't have a channel.
yeah, you don't have one. So you're just a nobody on YouTube. So
I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I mean nothing.
You're
I'm
nothing.
irrelevant.
Yeah, it's like
But Max has built up his whole thing. Like his identity online is that he does that he hates
yes,
this group.
yes,
So
exactly.
You're gonna have a higher bar to meet than like the average person on the street. If you were having the same conversation with my sister, for example.
Yeah.
Max is going to be a higher wall to climb, or to get to the same result.
That's a very good point, because like you said, this is his entire
That doesn't mean that it's not fine.
Well, I agree. I'm in awe of you and your efforts and your willingness to take this on.
You want to make out?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not gonna do it here. Well, I actually watch the go up. Wow, chicka, wow, wow. We have no standards on this channel, just FYI. Whatever it takes to get views, we'll do. By the way, I want to point out we have more likes in this video than my last, I think, 10 videos combined.
Cool.
Yeah, not lying.
I like you guys too. Yay, likes.
I'm wondering
Paul, you
what
should
it is
like it. You didn't like it. You have it up on the screen. Paul didn't even like it. Paul doesn't like it.
There's 3 dislikes. It's from Max, it's from Paul, and from Charlie. No, we got 4 dislikes now. What the hell are you guys doing?
Well, if we ended the chat sooner, I could make out sooner. That's apparently
no, I don't want to anymore. I'm over it.
The moment's passed. I feel like I'm guilty that I'm keeping you guys away from each other when you're like literally 2 feet away from each other probably right now, or 2 inches even.
No, we're fine.
Can we talk about Ray Comfort now?
Oh, yes. I have to go pee, though. Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up, because guess who one of the first guests we might be trying to get for our new podcast is going to be?
Ray Comfort?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if I get that,
I bet he'll do it if you time it close to one of his releases. So
he wants to promote his other stuff, but we have connections to him now. And if I get him, you have to join for that one. And there's a couple other people I know. I know Casey would love to join for that one.
Absolutely. But it's funny because he doesn't. He does debate science in his own mind. So Eric Hovind went live this morning because tomorrow is his. I don't even want to plug it, but Eric has a thing happening tomorrow night. And but he had Ray on. Ray Comfort was on with him. They were live streaming together, and it was funny because Ray totally took over and plugged all his own material instead of Eric's, which was great. But
doesn't surprise me.
But Ray's next movie is called Banana Man.
I didn't know that.
He's just diving straight in on the whole joke, and just owning it.
I can't fault him for that. To be honest with you. I really can't. I mean, sometimes when you say something so stupid and you have such a faux pas, one of the best ways to work around that is just to own it and run with it. So, but yeah, he's good. If he's promoting something, then it's even more likely for him to come on. But there is somebody that has a really good rapport with him, so we're going to try to get him on.
The other thing I give Ray Comfort credit for is that he puts his movies out free on YouTube, and he does not sell DVDs. He doesn't go into theaters. He doesn't beg for money for them. My complaint with Ken Ham and Answers Genesis and a lot of these apologetics groups is that they're so transparently trying to sell material that you can't believe whether or not they believe it. Where at least Ray is putting his money where his mouth is and saying, "Here's the movie for free. I just want the message to get out," and then you can actually believe that he believes the message.
But that's just a different marketing technique to me.
Right, but I can't. Sure, it's a different marketing technique, and obviously he still makes his living at doing all this stuff.
Do you know where he ships his DVDs from?
Where does he ship them from? I'm sure not from New Zealand.
No, he ships them from the back of his house. He actually has a workstation in his house where people are doing stuff in the back part of his house. That's where he ships stuff from. He's turned his house into a business.
Okay, but what do you like? So did all the rest of these people. I guess I missed the point there.
Well, because he's just taking a different model. He's just saying, "Oh, here, look, here's my stuff for free." Hovind did the same thing. Here's my stuff for free. But when I convert you over and you want to listen to more, here, now I'll sell you these DVDs. Now I'll sell you these books. Now I think Eric does the opposite. I mean, he's just straight out in your face. Hey, look at this. We have this book here you can buy, and if you want to read what it is, you have to buy this for $8.95 plus shipping and handling.
Right, but at least they can make, at least Ray can, with a straight face, make the argument that he wants skeptics to hear the answer.
Do you think that's true though? I mean,
do I think it's true? No, but he can make the argument.
Oh, okay, because that's what I want to know. I mean, yeah, he can make that argument, but I'm at the point where I do think that Ray Comfort's just a con man, and I think that Kirk Cameron is just a tool that he has.
Kirk Cameron isn't a con man. I think he believes that stuff. Like,
yeah, it's just his tool. I think he's just his patsy in a word.
Right. Although you don't see Kirk out there, talking too much other than in PureFlix movies.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he actually is trying to reach an audience through his movies poorly, but
yeah.
Godless is joining.
Oh, Godless is joining.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down. Is it okay? I didn't even ask you.
Yeah,
he's letting his dog out.
Everyone, yeah. Godless is here to tell me I'm a bad person because I'm working on something for. I'm supposed to be working on something for him instead of being here.
Oh, he's coming into the
That's literally what he's supposed to be doing right now, is editing their video. Godless is probably coming on just to be like, Paul, aren't you supposed to be editing our video?
This is like the boss coming in and saying, "I'm playing hooky. Are you sleeping on the job?"
I'm a disruptive force. Sorry.
Yeah, you're having company over, Paul. When you should be.
That's fine.
To be fair, he's at my house, so my rules.
So that's even worse. He's not even like playing hooky over somewhere else. Help his argument, Shannon.
I think any Canadian atheists who want to come on should be allowed to come on now.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. You know what it is? I'll tell you what.
Rhino and Hogtie.
Yeah.
And,
this is what I do. This hangout.
Logic and Eseth.
This is what I'm going to do, and people can bitch at me for it because I'm authoritative when it comes to this. This hangout is strictly for Canadian atheists only, except for myself because obviously I can qualify either way. But I have to have at least some restrictions sometimes. So
that lends the theme that
it's a theme thing, right? I'm not punishing.
No, Godless and Max have like this sort of like synergistic hate relationship.
That's true. We need to talk about the doxing stuff without using the name.
Right.
But if somebody right now wants to move to Canada and renounce God, they can come in. That's fine.
No, that's fair though, because I kind of want to talk to Godless, because when I was going to, he was like, good luck getting a conversation with him, and I was like, I think I can do it. And he was like, he won't talk to me, and I was like, I don't have a YouTube channel.
I gotta make sure, because I've been drinking. I gotta make sure that I send it to Godless Cranium and not Godless Engineer, because that'd be awkward.
Oh yeah, it would.
Not on those terms, people. Okay.
That's a true story, Steve.
My God, did that get ugly fast, didn't it?
Yeah, and it continued to be ugly for several hours based on my Twitter notifications, because I may have had some popcorn and watched. I didn't interact, but I was just like, let's see what happens here.
I have noticed something on Twitter. Whenever I get like 35, today I had 35 notifications, right? And that's even more than what I usually get. But when I usually get about maybe 10 or 12 a day. But I got 35, and then I noticed something every time I have a large amount. It's always from one person, and this one was from some guy named Paul No Wall, young creationist. I think Paulogia knows him. But it was like, how do you send 35 different tweets out there, dude? Oh my God! I literally got 35 notifications from that guy this morning.
So. Do you think Vice Rhino's still awake?
It's what is it? It's 11:24 here. It's 10:24 there.
Yeah, in fact, Vice Rhino, I actually took a poll that he had the other day, and he was going off on Patreon, and dude, he was right on. Yeah, I mean, Patreon is right now doing some stupid stuff.
Talk to Paul about that. We just had a discussion about that actually like yesterday, I think, wasn't it?
Well, I think Paul had something else he wanted to talk about, but until God comes in here.
What?
Was I talking about words and stuff?
Well, no, I mean, Patreon, obviously, my position is exactly what Vice Rhinos is. And for those who don't know, Patreon, for some unknown reason, well, I can guess, they decided that they wanted to take rather than having the creator eat the credit card fees that they're being charged and they're getting an increase on. They're instead giving a surcharge to the patrons. So a patron who used to pledge, $10 now has to pay, $11 or whatever it is. Or
35 cents.
Yeah.
2% or 35%, 35 cents or something. Yeah.
Um,
It's nominal, but that's not the point.
Well, but when you're like me, most of my patrons are for $1 or $2.
Right. Now it's $1.35.
Right, and mine is per video, so all of a sudden, yeah, it's going to look like these weird charges, and it's just another excuse to drop, which isn't, it feels like a little bit of a kick in the teeth after all the demonetization stuff. I mean, for those who've seen my channel, I don't curse on my channel. We're like a cartoon about science, and every single one of my videos in the last couple months has been demonetized without exception. Every single one.
My last 5 was.
And so it feels the Patreon thing just feels like a bit of a kick in the teeth after that. But hey, GC.
Yeah, real quick, it's they passed it on earlier too. I mean, so it's not really that much to the patrons themselves. What the problem I'm seeing is that they had a problem, then they came up with a really crappy way of solving it, and they created their own problem on this. But now they're having a subscription base such that each person gets charged from the date that they become a Patreon. And that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we're used to having it on the first, right?
Yep.
We rely on this stuff. I'm not lying. Everybody who sends me $1 on Patreon, you guys, I cry tears. I mean, it's just like, I'm so happy that people like my stuff, that they're willing to even give $1. I'm ecstatic. It really means something to me. And for Patreon to screw people over, not just the people giving the money, but the creator contents, everybody, and then have the audacity to say, "Oh, well, we're doing this because we're doing this for the creators." No, you're not. I read the things on the Patreon page. Oh my God, they're hostile from creators.
Right.
Nobody
that also, like, when they say stuff like that, that shifts the blame to you almost inadvertently. It's like saying,
I hate that.
We're doing this for them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, really?
This is based on their demand. They wanted all of your pledges, so now we have to charge you a surcharge. And it's like, whoa! That we didn't ask for this.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know if Paul mentioned this before I joined, but it also hurts small. So say you're a contributor and you're contributing to like 100 different creators, $1 each. Now you're paying 35 cents on each pledge.
Oh,
so that really adds up, and that's where it hurts, right? Because a lot of people do like $1 or $2 here, but they might be doing it to 10, 15, 20 creators. So
they're spreading it out.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's unfair. I mean,
I think they're going to reverse.
I mean, the whole thing's unfair, but that's
I think there's so much of an outcry that, and people are leaving, and people are going to try to find other sources. But I think Patreon has such a backlash on this that I don't even know if it's going to get implemented at this point.
Patreon put out an explanation on, I think it was the Verge article. I don't know if it is for sure, but they sound like they're still going to go through with it.
I've seen people reverse decisions. I mean,
I hope they do.
Everybody that on that thread was like, "This is horrible. This is horrible." There was not one person, not one creator that said, "Hey, this is a great idea." Not one.
Absolutely not.
So, anyways, hey, Godless Cranium, by the way, I'm sorry to keep your minion here, wrapped up here. I know he's supposed to be working on something for you.
Yeah, Paul was literally editing your video, and I was like, "We're gonna go on Steve's channel and talk about."
Oh my God, Paul, get back to work. What the?
I know. I'm making.
He's not paying you to do this. Oh wait, he's not paying you at all, I'm sure, but.
To be fair, I told him to make you extra blinky. I was like, Godless loves the blinking. That's his favorite part. Make sure
by the way, somebody asked in live chat, is there a way to do it from PayPal? Yeah, matter of fact, a lot of Patreon people are suggesting just use PayPal. Matter of fact, they would take a bigger cut. If somebody sends me, like, and I do have some pretty decent Patreons, not gonna lie, but if somebody says, instead of doing $10 a month, I'm happy if they do $5 to PayPal instead. I'd rather make less money and give less to Patreon at this point. I'm so upset if they continue with this line that they're doing. I am not happy. I know Creationist Cat is not happy. I had a tweet with him the other day. In fact, we were going to have a hangout on this if possible at some point, but yeah, I'm a big fan of PayPal. It's just, send $5. $2, whatever, $1 even. I don't care. But I mean,
I do think Patreon has a great had a great service as far as because it's ease of use, right? Like people
yes.
I don't want to contribute to 10 different people and then have to go in every day 10 times and put it out. Either that or I'm going to forget because I'm horrible at that stuff. But I mean, Patreon would just do it for you. So I think it's an invaluable service, but at the same time they're really fucking people over, and it's not cool.
And that's why I think there's going to be a backlash. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't really hurt the person only contributing to 1 or 2 people that much, right? But like you said, you spread out and you giving to 20 contributors, it's going to be
well, it is screwing people over that are like if somebody's only donating $2 or $1, like you guys said earlier, it's still $1.35 plus whatever the percentage.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. As a matter of fact, a Creationist Cat lasts like 10 Patreon on a day.
But I think the creators that do it per video are going to lose more because they have no idea how many times somebody might upload a video, right? I've seen on Twitter a couple of times where people actually, I had one of my patrons say they dropped all of the people that did it per video and only kept the people that did it per month. So
wow. Because I like the monthly thing. By the way, somebody had asked about Creationist Cat. I've had Creationist Cat in here before.
Vadim's been on.
Vadim, great. We had a great time.
So GC, do you do monthly? Because I do per video.
Yeah, I do
monthly.
I
never do more than 4.
I think 2. I think I've lost 2 patrons.
Okay. I just made a promise to my people that I'll never charge them for more than 4, no matter how many I actually make.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, when it comes to like the great debate community and all that other stuff, there's a lot of great people that do support the creators, and I'm all for it. I rather take half. I mean, I rather get what I'm getting and then give something to Paulogia or somebody else, one of the other creators. I'm fine with that. I like to see it spread. I have enough right now.
Paulogia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good call. I mean, look, I'm not trying to come out much ahead by what I'm doing. I'm doing because I have no other choice, and this pays my necessities, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to make a profit here. I'm having another thing that I'm venturing for that. So if somebody says, "Hey, Steve, I'm going to give you $5 a month, but I'm going to give another 5 to Paulogia rather than give you 10," okay, great. That's why I've been supporting of other channels. I want to see other content creators not leave, because they're not. Yeah. There was somebody that made a video. He spent $10,000 for his video. He made $987 in profit.
Oh God.
Because of ad revenue and other things, and Patreon screwed him, and it's just come on. So,
can I interject? I want to ask Godless about the Max thing because I've been dying to hear. I've been super patient, and I've been drinking, so I've been extra patient. So while we talk about Patreon,
you're like me yesterday. Then yeah, I was.
You're doing it's more patience than I can. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I was doing the art contest stream with Godless Engineer and others, judging the art, and I wasn't blasted, but I was getting pretty close. I had like 3 or 4 rum and cokes before I even sat down, and then we talked for a little bit before, and I was like, okay, we need to start this now.
I just undertook that same endeavor.
Come on. So what was your analysis?
Yeah, I need to hear.
Yeah, I kind of listened to it. I was working on 2 videos, and so I was kind of like listening to it as a podcast. So I'm gonna have to listen to it again. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like Max just did most of the talking and just kind of like talked over you every chance he got. He would make just an assertion, like you need God to be able to do science. You'd be like, oh, that's interesting, and then well, that's what I think, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, holy cow, would you just let her talk? I want to hear what she has to say. So yeah, but you were totally like, I left a comment on there about you came off as really classy, very polite, and I think you dominated him as far as if you got to talk over the person that you're supposed to be interviewing on your own channel, then I don't know.
I feel thank you for that, because I feel like every time I did make a valid point or ask a valid question, he would change the topic.
Yeah,
or
he seemed nicer though. He seemed nicer than I've heard him before. Like he seemed nicer to you than, but at first it seemed like he was attacking you to try to get you to be mad. Like he was attacking you about
he was baiting me.
Paul's channel and how it's basically low hanging fruit, so you guys aren't worth anything, and blah blah blah, right? And you didn't take the bait, and then he was like, oh well, she's not that bad. I'll be pretty nice to her. So
I think that's what he's used to. He's used to being like, I think everybody that's in your group is stupid and you suck and you're idiots, and give me a reason to believe that you aren't stupid and you suck and you're idiots. And I was like, okay.
Fair. Do you think he was?
I'll give you reasons. Right. Yeah. Instead of being like, well, you're stupid and you suck, which is what he's used to. Right. He's used to reactionary tactics.
Yeah. He actually wants to play D&D with me. So
does he?
Yeah, he does.
No.
Yeah. We've been trying to work.
Wait. Max Colby plays D&D?
Yeah, he wants to play D&D with me.
Isn't that a satanic game?
No.
Really? I was told I'd be a Satanist if I played D&D growing up, and even though I worship Moloch now, I don't think it had that much of effect.
Yeah, well, he's a Catholic, so their rules are different.
Yeah,
I got you.
And actually, in his world, in his D&D world, there's like Christianity is real, he said, and all this kind of stuff. So
nice.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Real math 18 for forgiveness.
Baby bro, I'm saved.
Oh my God.
Can we land the ark? Can we?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you might just hit on a multi-million-dollar idea right there, Godless.
Yeah, wait, we should do Christian versions.
When you don't look at me when you say we.
Come on. Okay, GC and then we'll do Cards Against Christianity.
I'll do it. That I'm in.
They have Christian cards. I've seen them. They do. They have Christian cards.
Nice.
Do they? Wow.
Oh, that's something to mock sometime. That's a hangout. Set that up. We'll play Cards Against Christianity, a bunch of us.
Well, I mean, I can't go too far because there's been something earlier going, oh, well, Steve's channel, all they do is bash Christians. I'm like, no, they don't. I mean, we have jokes every so often, but that's
we'll have to do it elsewhere.
I'll make a channel and it'll just be playing Cards Against Christianity all day.
But this whole Max conversation happened because Steve and GC, you guys were having a Twitter conversation. Do you want to recount for the audience like how that even started?
Yeah, it's your fault. I talked to this guy.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, GC. What you have to fill it in because I don't know.
They're right. I was talking to him about something, but I talked to Max fairly often. I think it had to do with Eve. It was to do with the video that I made of him about him, and he told me that I had doxed him, and I said no, I didn't dox you. Your name is well known, and I honestly didn't know that he didn't use his name.
Don't say his name here now, please.
Yeah, yeah, I won't. But I talked to Eve Kanainen, who's on Twitter. She's pretty well known on there, and she's friends with him, I think, in real life. And she told me that it was his Catholic name, or his spiritual name, Max Kolbe, and he doesn't use his birth name any longer unless he absolutely has to. Okay. So it would be. She thought that I had, done it on purpose to be disrespectful, and I said no, that's not what I was intending. It's just I thought it was common knowledge.
Yeah.
So I put it in my video. I said if you watch the second video, this is what I said to Max. I said if you watch the second video I did on you, I didn't say your birth name at all. I only called you Max. So,
yeah, I'll use his birth name because he puts his birth name in his videos. DNS.
Well,
yeah,
that's what he goes by on his videos.
Steve. Yeah, I made a point to talking to him beforehand because to be fair though, like beforehand, I asked him if I needed to send him my email address or if he had a link, because my full name is my email address. And I have a Facebook page that is under that name, and I didn't want my full name out. I've got a 6-year-old,
right? But
I didn't want people that disagreed with my opinion on YouTube.
I get that
coming at me, so I gave him the same respect, and I said, and I would like to know what name you would like me to refer to, like when I'm in discourse with you. How would you like me to refer to you so that I can give you the same respect? That's
perfectly fine. That's absolutely perfectly fine. Here's the problem I have, though. He says I doxed him. If you go to his videos, on his own page, is his name in his video descriptions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't go through his videos.
Yeah, no. His name has been out there forever. He puts his own name in his own videos sometimes, and then he tries the audacity to turn around and say, "Oh, you can't use that. You're doxing me. I don't play that game."
I'm fairly sure
that's absolutely fine because it takes the sting away from his arrow going, "Oh, you're doxing me." No, here's your video. It's your name in it. I'm only putting it forth what you put forth.
Yeah, and I'm fairly sure that he was in what was that Cassie J documentary? I forget what it was called, Red Pill or something. I don't know.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and he was one of the men's rights activists, I believe, that she interviewed, and it said his name. Like,
yeah,
on,
he was MRA. He was MRA and MGTOW.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that he used his birth name in that, but I mean that wasn't that long ago. It's like a year or two ago.
Yeah, it's just something he wants to like use as a weapon now, and I'm like, no, that arsenal is gone. You don't have the right to do that.
Yeah, but I don't think he can legitimately claim that anybody doxed him because his name is well known. Like, I know it, and I don't pay much attention
to come across anyway. So like all you would have to do was make 3 clicks, and you could probably figure out who.
It's on his webpage. He literally has it in his video description. I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh, okay. So see, that's not the same as me.
See, but I don't think he understands what doxed means. I think what he's railing against the disrespect of going against the name that he doesn't associate with anymore.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, he just doesn't understand what doxed means.
At best, that could be a respect issue. I get that, right? But I have no respect for him because I mean, he put out a video against me that was 16 minutes long and pure. What the hell is this? I mean, I don't know who the hell he was talking about.
You asked me to. I watched it.
Yeah, there's nothing in that video that was like remotely me. I was like, who the hell are you talking about? He did the same thing with the genetically modified skeptic.
Yeah, being called
a fan of yours either, regardless.
Yeah, it's a pretty serious charge. Like, to be called a doxer, you gotta back that shit up, right?
Right. No, and I would never dox somebody whose name is not out there. I mean, if I know somebody's real information, and I do it for a lot of people, I've never disclosed that. It's just not something that I think anybody should do. But if you have your videos with your name on it, and that's what you went by, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't want to be called that anymore. Okay, that's a real respect issue, right? I'm not going to call you that, but don't say that's doxing.
Yeah. Right. To his credit, when I did explain it to him, he did say that he believed me and that he was sorry or whatever. So
you're an evil atheist. He doesn't believe you on anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's kind of like Levitical to me. Like, I kind of have a soft spot for Max. I'm not sure why, but
wow.
I do too. So thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like me and Max. I even said maybe we could have a Max atheist alliance. You and I, Max.
I'm probably 3 shots down right now, and I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, I like more. So
yeah, but this is 80.
I don't want to hear your shit.
This is some harsh stuff. I mean,
I don't want to hear your shit. I'm from Nova Scotia. I dare you.
Oh no, I'm a
you couldn't.
I big boys.
You don't stand a chance, bud.
Back when I was in the Navy, maybe, but no.
Navy.
Yeah, regardless, what he's no fan of yours either. What kind of prompted that whole thing? Could have been just the doxing thing.
Well, no, I made 2 videos on him, so I mean,
could be the response video.
I know that. What prompted all that though? I know you made videos.
I don't know. I just saw like one of his videos and just I've been watching a lot of his channel. He's kind of like, I don't know. He's my muse, I suppose.
So basically at one time. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, like I'll just watch his videos, and then the one was like the evil atheist, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta say something about that. It's ridiculous. But
I think it's
maybe you want to talk to him. Is his like all atheists are horrible people rhetoric?
Atheism is a delusion, according to him.
Yeah, but I feel like the only way to kind of break through that would be to show him that not all atheists are bad people, right? So in some way, that's what I've been trying to accomplish in some small measure. I don't know. I might be just beating my head against the wall, though.
I feel like that's not a fruitless endeavor, though. Like, I feel like I made some headway with him. I at least got him to acknowledge that he would judge me solely on our interactions with one another, and that I would give him the same respect. And I feel like that's
and he seemed pretty friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Max friendly scale, he was pretty friendly there. And I mean, like,
I need more alcohol, guys.
What's a 37 out of 10 on the Max Kolbe friendly scale? Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say like an 8 or 9 for sure.
I think we have a point if he just was talking about a specific microcosm of atheist. I've seen vitriolic atheists, just as like he's pointing out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what he does is he takes the 3 or 4 standard deviation outliers, and he says this is the norm. And he just applies that across the board, and that's what I find to be distasteful.
Well, what I told him on Twitter, I'm not sure, he never answered or like said anything about it, but I think maybe I think this is true, is that it's kind of, for him, it's like a feedback loop, right? So he says atheists are horrible people. That pisses an atheist off, right? An atheist says, no, you're horrible people. And then he says, oh, look, I'm being persecuted by that atheist. They're horrible people. And then it just keeps going in a circle, right? So that's the cycle that I was trying to originally, break out of, right? By being kind of nice.
I completely agree with you. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, is trying to prove the point that, hey, here I am over here. Like, I don't want your hate. I'm attempting to reach out to you, and I don't hold your opinion. I don't necessarily condone your opinion.
Well, what I do
I understand that you've come through it. Like, you're clearly an educated person and you've come to it from an honest perspective. I'm trying to understand how that happened for you. I'm probably not ever going to hold the same opinion as you, but that doesn't mean that you and I can't be respectful counterparts. That doesn't mean that we have to have a hate for each other. It doesn't mean that we're against each other. It just means that.
Well, I'm against
different view.
Yeah,
I mean, against his view. Well,
I'm definitely against him.
Yes, you're against him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him either. So
overall, like, I'll combat a religious viewpoint as I see it to be a detriment to logic or to somebody's benefit, but I will always defend somebody's right to hold that opinion, and I will never attack them as a person for holding that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I found a little bit dishonest about the way he ran the live stream with you was that, like, he obviously did homework, and he put in, like, do you recognize a scientist, trying to make you look stupid, right? Because you didn't.
Yeah. Of course not.
I would have been, it would have been much more fair of him if he had told you, like, I'm going to talk about this, right? And then you could have, like, done at least a little bit of research beforehand. This is why I don't like doing live streams, right? It's because the person that's running it can just, it's not a fair tactic, right? So now he's got you on the back.
I knew who was in the photo. I knew exactly who he was talking about, but
then you should. I was
going to tweet it to you, but you weren't paying attention. So.
No, I wasn't, because I was in the middle of a conversation, and I wasn't interested in talking to anybody else at that point in time or having any outside influence. I wanted to have just a conversation with him.
I had to sit in the corner facing the opposite way.
He did, actually. And to be fair, that's the way I make him sit most of the time while I'm talking. He's not sitting that way right now, but that's because he has some benefits that he's cashing in.
Argument I was literally like, I went to the bathroom. I could talk for 3 seconds.
That's right. He was good earlier today, so he's allowed to have screen time.
You guys think that they're kidding? I believe her sincerely. Yeah.
Paul pisses her off. He sends him to the corner.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then Paul gets that intense stare.
A video right now, Paulogia.
Oh, well, when she uses his full name, he's in trouble.
But part of the punishment also is I have to drink more, so it's very weird.
Yeah, it's true. It's a weird dichotomy.
You're not
like, drink this rum and edit that video.
Yeah, Alice, what are you drinking, by the way? Because you're Canadian and you're atheist, so you qualify. But the third condition we should have actually posted was you have to be drinking something. And he's going to tell me he's an alcoholic, huh?
And Vice Rhino says sorry he couldn't be here.
Oh.
I have never talked to him, by the way, except for on Twitter. But
he's nice.
Oh, I'll get him on here. He's great.
People actually, I'm not lying. People have said, "Is Vince Rhino Paulogia?" And I'm like, so.
I've heard that before too.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Your voices are so distinctive.
No, but our style.
Your style is similar. Yeah, I guess. But your voice, like.
I think any American hears someone talking in a calm manner and they think it's the same person.
Yeah, he's funnier than
you. So me and GC.
I'm still not convinced you and Shannon are two distinct people. I'm not quite there yet, but whatever.
Yeah, I think Vice lives relatively close to me as well, like in real life. Yeah.
He's in Niagara.
No, you're doxing him.
No, he said that in your video. You're such a dick. I'm going to mix.
He's a disgruntled father, just like me.
Here, you're in charge now. I'm leaving.
Well, I think now the hangout's done. If you're gone.
No.
So you're not drinking tonight, Gallus?
No. I have to work tomorrow. I don't drink on work days. Okay. I hardly ever drink at all, to be honest, which is why all it takes is about 4 rums, and I started getting a little tipsy.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling this already, and I'm just probably had like equivalent of like 2 shots. So maybe 3.
Yeah, I drink like maybe like once every 6 months. I'll drink something.
I don't know if
I don't know
can-
why I was drinking yesterday. I just felt like it.
Yeah, I hadn't planned on it, but Canadians.
Shannon,
talked me into it.
she can talk people into anything. That's why she talked to Max.
Well, I probably should have started drinking while I was listening to the whole discussion, but I didn't think about it ahead of time. Would have numbed the pain a little bit. Oh, let's make supernatural part of science. Oh, I did a 20-point refutation of that video that he did with me, and yeah, one of these days I'll have to do it as a hangout, I guess. But I still don't know what the hell was the catalyst for all that. I just don't.
With Max?
Yeah, he
you
just decided to make a video against me. I'm like, okay, what the hell prompted this?
I feel like a lot of people like making videos about you, Steve.
Oh my God, do I have hate videos? Nephilim free.
I've run across them where I just like
yeah, they're out there, man. I'm the king of liars. Actually the king of atheist liars. I haven't figured that one out yet, but yeah, they really kind of try to eviscerate me, and yet none of them will come in here and actually explain why.
Yeah,
Ronnie's never been in here. Darwin's has never been in here.
The titles are never nice either. Like you see some like response videos that it's a relatively nice title, but for you it's always like Steve Steve is a lying dirtbag.
Yeah, I don't get a nice title. It's like,
no,
Steve's a piece of shit. Let me explain to you why.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, I submit all those titles.
For them?
I have an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch more. I have more. I can.
What's the one that Ronnie had? He had like 2 months ago. It was like Steve McRae is an ignorant clown.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Then I want some like, Ronnie, you're not even making sense on this, man. It's like if you're gonna like have a diss video on me, have something that I at least have an interest enough to have a response to, But no, none of them.
I want I don't know, this is a dream of mine, but I want you guys have heard of the channel Poisoning the Well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that channel, and I would love to have them make like one of those songs for me. That would be so great.
We all have aspirations. My dream is to get into a Sci 10 atheist video. I know I have low standards, but that's it. That's all I want. Just be a Sci 10 atheist. Even if I was like some kind of treated like a piece of shit, I don't care. Just to say
As a cartoon.
Yeah, he's a cartoonist.
Yeah.
You don't know who Sci 10 atheist is?
Yeah, there's another one that had Sci 10 Brogan Gate.
No, matter of fact, though, the documentary thing that I'm in for the whole Great Debate community and all this other shit, Sci 10 Brunicate is actually being interviewed for it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Poisoning the Well's agreed to be on a Ham and Egg News.
Who?
Poisoning the Well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's
That's
going to be
great.
demonetized before it even gets put up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But
I don't know why they have like they have around the same subscribers as us, but I mean, considering they put out really great content, I'm surprised they don't have more.
Well, they're. I think it's partially just because they can't get the channel authority because they only do one a month because they handcraft every second.
Yeah, that might be it.
Like way more time than I put in.
Yeah, because they've also been like I think they've been shutted out by some really big channels as well. So that's why. I don't know.
Well,
It's
both
strange.
both Armored and Logic, of course.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed? I get about 1.5% bump, and that means that if a person has like 1,000 subscribers, I'll get 1.5% of that. That people actually come over and sub. So even on the bigger channels, you don't get a lot of people coming over and actually subscribing, even from shoutouts, believe it or not, unless you start getting into 100,000 subs, and then you're looking at a couple thousand that you're going to get off that. So
Well,
Well,
GM
yeah.
Skeptic sure
you
he
got
went from,
7,000 from Cosmics.
yeah, so I mean that's a pretty big bump right there.
And props to him. I mean, GM's got some good stuff. But a lot of us have been around a lot longer.
Yeah, I promoted GM when I remember when
I
he
did
had
too.
the
I had him on my channel. I had Paul on my channel. I think Paul had 100.
Yep.
And I've had Kool-Aid on. I've had Rachel Oates on.
yeah.
So Steve made you. Is that what Steve?
I made every single one.
If it wasn't for Steve,
I'm the glue that holds the
Paulogia.
atheist community together. I don't know how that works, but
He didn't have me on them. I don't know.
I've had you on. Well, I didn't have
maybe
you as a
I'll
guest.
delete my spreadsheet. Probably not.
When I was tiny, the person that gave me the first shout out was Desert File.
I want to get Desert File on here. He actually watched. He actually left a thing on Max's video, believe it or not, on the video that Max made against me. Desert File commented on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like the channels that have less than 1,000, and I don't know, I'm not an algorithm guru or anything, but I feel like once I got over 1,000 subscribers, the algorithm started to maybe promote me a little more because I started to see more recommended videos, like views coming from those. So I feel like the shoutouts would really be better for channels that have like less than 1,000 subscribers.
Possibly. I mean, I had shout outs from the Living Dinosaur, which was nice. I had shout outs from Telltale. I had shout outs from King Crocoduck. He's got 50,000 subs, but I still hasn't turned into subscriptions to me, even though it seems like most people in these communities know who I am, but I don't get the subs, and people come in to have conversations, you know?
Yeah. Well, like I said to you before, I think it's the kind of content you put out, like streaming is really kind of a tailored sort of, like only certain kinds of people want to watch streams.
I agree. No, I agree. It's a niche, but it's, you know what? I'm not going to say otherwise. I think it's just as difficult in some ways to have real-time conversations about these topics than it is to make a really.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm totally not knocking what you're doing or knocking streaming at all. I'm just saying that I think that's the reason why you have fewer subscribers.
You're probably right. Although I think that might change the next year. I think that more people are kind of finding these conversations to be interesting, and I think a lot of people are actually wanting to be a part of it. I've had, just in the last week, I had probably about 4 or 5 people contact me on Facebook alone that I've never heard of before, that said, hey, I found your channel, and man, I'm really enjoying the conversation. When I get a mic, I'll just start joining, or maybe when I feel like I can have something to contribute, I'll start joining. And I'm like, jump in anytime.
Well, Steve, you obviously need to compare your channels to other channels who are doing something similar.
Oh, I'm wrecking them.
Exactly. So, and I think the metrics you need to use are the metrics that YouTube cares about, which is watch minutes and views, not subscribers.
My watch view, what's funny is my metric for the watch views is pretty damn good. I looked at I looked at that metric. It's huge.
G-Man has like 9,000 subscribers and 12 people watch.
Right.
Yeah, my watch time is much larger than G-Man's, and my average views is much larger. But
right, so if you compare, we've talked about this before. You compare yourself to other live stream channels, you're doing great.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair enough. I mean, that's a metric that I should be going for.
Or even podcast channels, right? Because podcasting is kind of the same as live streaming.
Yeah, that's why we're getting into the podcast thing. We actually got a phone number. We got a call-in number. How cool is that? And I won't tell you what the whole number is, but you know what the first 3 digits are besides the prefix?
666.
Yes.
Called it.
Yes. And what's scary was that wasn't even
a counted to 3 and got us all to guess at the same time.
The name of our show begins with non.
That number is always on the tip of my tongue. So
it's tattooed on his forehead and his forearm and his inner thigh.
Literally, 666 is the calling number. I'm like, oh shit, that's beautiful.
You only learned about the mark of the beast this weekend. I had to explain the mark of the beast to Shannon. She didn't know what that was.
No, that's fair.
Oh, go listen to Iron Maiden. I'll explain it all.
Go listen to. No.
But so as soon as Tim Horton starts, except the only mark of the beast, then we're all in trouble.
Yeah, we had it parlayed into a conversation about microchips being part of the sign of end days and commerce and.
Yeah, it's just absurd. I'm sorry. I don't buy any of that stuff. That's when my agnosticism starts and my atheism kicks in. I can't go there, right?
Oh God, don't throw your laptop against the wall, please. No, it's really, really loud. My neighbors are probably sleeping. Don't do it.
You don't work in the morning.
Yeah, don't tell me how to live my life.
Ouch. Sit in the corner, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. You want to go back to the corner? Keep talking like that.
Wow. Paul, you want another timeout?
I will bring you a rum and make you edit your video in the corner.
I'm a fan of that idea.
I know. I need to work on punishments. My punishments are bullshit.
I think the best thing about Paul's blinky eyes is that his eyes aren't centered. So that's what I always watch. Is like, I don't know what it is, but
I got a question. Does he have to actually sit in front of the camera to do the cartoon thing? I mean, I know it's like a program, or does it just automatically randomly
Doesn't
he
automatically.
eyes?
I watched him do it today. No, it's quite labor intensive. And Godless was more difficult because he doesn't have a mouth.
That should be easier.
That's true. Yeah, he has
That
a
should be
thing-
easy.
yeah.
But your mouth can't open and close. Your whole face has to go up and down. That was hard to.
Oh my
that was
God,
hard
that's
to break.
awesome.
Why do you have to
Oh, I want
articulate
to see
the
that so
jaw
bad.
then?
Yeah, yeah. Like
It's
so,
being-
you don't have a mouth. So while you're talking, you're either stationary, you're completely still, and then nobody knows that you're talking. So obviously that can't happen. So he found a way to. Spoilers. I'm not gonna give away too much, but he found a way to make it very obvious that you were talking without giving you a mouth.
Well, actually, that was so
Well,
late
you were also
that nobody's
blinking.
watching any longer, but whatever.
Yeah,
Kidding. I'm
When he
kidding.
said he found a way, I was like picturing like I don't know him making me like Robo GC or something and having like steam in one of my ears every time I talked or something
Having
weird like
lights
that.
go across
That'd
his
be
like,
good.
a,
That's a
like
better
mouth,
idea.
like a lights light
Oh well,
up.
yeah, back to the drawing board then. Go to your goddamn
No.
corner.
Oh, I didn't see you come out of your corner yet.
Yeah, or like my eyes light up red every time I talked or something. Like that's what I pictured
that
him
would be
doing.
cool.
That would have been like
Yeah,
like-
all of these are better ideas than what you did. You're
Yeah,
right.
we have
You
good
should-
We need to be your consultants on this.
Like Demon GC.
exactly. Awesome.
I don't know. My imagination went wild.
Well, you'll see. Few days.
Somebody just pointed out in the live chat, there's no mods at the moment in the live chat. That's unusual.
Oh,
Oh.
that's why the quack.
Yeah.
Oh, is shit going off the rails?
Well, yeah.
No, they're normal.
So yeah,
oh,
they're
I
going
heard
rails.
that I'm pretty ditzy. I'm psyched. I'm psyched about that. I'm apparently the replacement ditzy blonde.
Well, somebody wants to know if you're Bolshevik.
If I
Who's-
what?
Bolshevik. You did not ban Steve McQuack,
I
did
didn't
you?
ban him. No,
You
no,
can't
no.
you banned him. You can't ban. He's got his
Oh.
own freaking wiki page.
How do I unban? Oh,
I got it.
no, sorry. I got it.
Yeah,
I
you
got it.
can't block Steve McQuack. I told him I want to block him. He's got.
What is that? The person who called me ditzy? Did you just go like full on boyfriend mode in your goddamn
Oh
chat?
my He white
Don't
knighted
do
the
that.
crap out of you,
I
Canadian
can
style.
take
right
criticism. You're fine.
there. Steve McQuack has his own damn wiki page. Okay, so
Yeah, that's why I was telling you about.
you can time him out. That's fair.
If I put him in a
It's a
timeout,
boyfriend.
well, I
You
go
put
sit
him
in
in
the corner.
timeout.
Yeah, okay. I can't help that. Sorry, McQuack, but yeah, I unbanned you.
I
God
unbanned him.
damn, dude. Yeah,
I'm trying to find where they called her a ditzy blonde, and then I want to see.
I can't. He deleted the message
Oh,
for another
oh,
5
man.
minutes. I just saw that asking if she's Bolshevik.
No, I'm super
crap.
Irish.
Now he has to come back on his actual account, which I think I know who it is.
Anyway,
You didn't
would-
really.
no, I
Aw.
didn't. But he is in a timeout.
Yeah. Yeah, don't piss off Paul. So I forgot Paul does that. There is somebody in the live chat that has power. Paul.
Well,
They're very
this.
damn it.
they're very
Thank
jealous and volatile boyfriend of the guest that's in here. And I don't mean Godless Cranium. Although that would have been okay too. I mean, I'm not judging.
No, that's fair. He's been spending a lot of time making sure his cartoon looks just right. To be fair.
I've been
I
spending
think-
more
A lot of
time.
time.
I've been spending more time looking at GC than you. Is
Yeah,
that what
you
you're trying
did.
to
Yeah,
say?
the deal. You didn't even watch all of my conversation with Max because you were really busy. With your
If he starts stroking the screen, get ready, right?
starts.
Now it's
When
good.
he doesn't stroke the screen, I'm worried that he fell asleep.
He is drinking, so
That's right. If he puts his drink down and he's not stroking the screen, I'm worried he's not paying attention to what he's doing. To be
well,
fair,
one hand is stroking the screen, the other hand doing.
Demonetization.
I didn't say anything about the other hand. That's no.
Not advertiser friendly. Okay. Oh.
You asked me to come on. This is what happens.
Yeah, no, I take my chances. Yeah.
Sense into chaos. Sexually explicit chaos.
Usually, I just do it in the chat, but you want the full deal. So
Now. And she's been drinking for like 6 hours.
I just started, but clearly it wasn't enough.
I love
Yeah,
talking
one-
in Max's streams. Actually,
I know you do. You and I were on one together. That's when I was like, I need to talk to this man in real life.
Yeah, the best part was when one of them was like, "Are you trolling right now?"
I didn't see anything in the live chat, by the way, in Max's hangout. I was like, I'm not gonna. I didn't know if anybody was watching. I didn't know he or you were watching, and I'm like, I'm not saying a word in this. I just want to soak it all in.
I don't know. I soak and talk.
There was not much to soak. I'm sorry. I think that he just kind of he didn't say anything
so
of
much-
value. It's just basically one assertion after another. Atheist bad. Blah blah blah. It didn't get to any of the crux of his reasoning why.
I think he had a narrative that he had a plan that I was gonna do this PowerPoint presentation throughout the whole thing, and like it was clear that no matter what I said, that PowerPoint presentation was happening.
Yeah, he wanted that to. He brought that out. He wanted that to.
Right.
I think you've been watching it for the wrong reasons, though, Steve. Because I don't go on there to listen to get good points. I go on there for entertainment.
What, watching Max's?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't really watch any of his stuff. I only watched this one because of Shannon was on there.
And I watched that. Yeah, well, I watched that. I actually missed it. I saw it on. It popped up on my phone that you were going to go on. And I forgot about it. And I was like, oh my god, I'm not at home. I can't watch it live because I wanted to troll the chat while you were on there.
You didn't take the day off. I don't know what your problem is.
Yeah, you got to get ahead of these things.
So I had to watch it when it was partway through. Wasn't the same.
Oh, so you missed him? He just was shit talking me for the first 10 minutes. So
yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
he kind of was.
Even though he's never seen a minute of my videos, that clearly
he was totally shit talking you.
Yeah, you had to suggest a video to him that because he's never actually sat. He says he's never sat through any of your videos.
Well, I would have suggested a different one, but I suggested the one that I was in solely because it was him and I in the conversation. And I want it to be about a relation. I want to build a relationship with him going forward where I can have more conversations with him that potentially create a bigger dialogue when you put them all together, that maybe we can come to a reasonable middle ground. I think would probably be the best.
Right. Whereas if he and I are going to talk, I want him to watch one of my Jesus Resurrection videos.
Yeah, but that's not relevant to a conversation with me.
Right.
Because I'm not biblically literate. You are very biblically literate. So I can't pronounce literate anymore because rum is a thing that I keep putting in my mouth.
She's got that about thing.
About, yeah.
A boot.
But I'll go full tilt Nova Scotian on you. Just wait.
Couple more rums.
I killed it. I killed that motherfucker.
This is kind of turned into a rum and coke night, unintentionally, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing any rum and coke tonight, but
we're doing that for you.
Yeah, you guys drink extra for me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is strong stuff here. I'm not gonna lie. I'll start saying stuff that's going to be regretting myself in the morning.
All right. Well, if Shannon's not going to call it, I'm going to call it because we have to get to work in the morning.
Yeah, I'm going to call it too, actually, because I'm going to be slurring my speech here in about a minute. So,
drunks, get to work, Paul.
Yeah,
Paul. Paul has to go to his corner.
Shannon, you leave him alone while he's working on that video, right?
You know what? You're not in charge of what I do.
Let's get that video finished first.
All right, fair enough. There's always time during renders.
Yes. How much time?
Like 3 hours.
Yeah, rendering probably takes quite a while. So that Paul usually only uses about 3 minutes, but
Oh. Nope. Hard no. It's a hard no.
For the render. No, I was kidding.
Wow, I get it. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. So, hey, Shan, thanks for dropping on. Oh my God, I'm so fucked up. Thanks for dropping by. I think you did a really excellent job with your conversation. I hope you do have multiple more conversations with Max. Good for you.
Good for you.
And by the way, we just got off air and McQuack's back. Sorry, McQuack. Wow. Yes.
I'm sorry, McQuack. It wasn't me.
Just I'll apologize to McQuack. Sorry. Goddess Cranium, thanks for dropping by again. We have many more conversations to have in the future. Trust me. I really like your channel. So
thank you.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good job, Shannon.